our own Matt Hancock in the House suggested that the idea that widespread infection would lead to herd immunity and that it would be possible to segregate the old and vulnerable, both propositions were emphatically false. I wonder, those two criticisms, could we just perhaps deal with them one by one? What do you say to those particular criticisms of Great Barrington?
Well, Great Barrington Declaration is not a herd immunity strategy. In fact, there is no such thing as a herd immunity strategy. Herd immunity is a well-established scientific phenomena, and whatever strategy we use for this pandemic, the pandemic will end when we reach herd immunity. There is no alternative to that. So lockdowns will eventually lead, with lockdowns, the pandemic will eventually end with herd immunity. So to talk about a herd immunity strategy is sort of silly. Mm-hmm. It's like talking about, suppose you're an airline pilot and you're going to land the plane. You don't talk about, well, let's use the gravity strategy to land the plane. Gravity is the fact. And however we fly the plane, gravity will ensure that we eventually reach the ground. We have to try to reach it as safely as possible. Mm-hmm. But to talk about the gravity strategy is nonsense. So it's the same thing with the pandemic. We have to get through this pandemic with as few casualties as possible. There will always be people who die in a pandemic. That's unavoidable. But the key thing is to get through the pandemic so that the number of dead is as small as possible before we reach the inevitable end of herd immunity. And that's what focused protection does. The goal is to minimize the number of deaths until the pandemic ends.